I adjust my plain navy dress in the mirror, tugging lightly at the hem that rests just below my knees. The bathroom light flickers, casting uneven shadows across my face, emphasizing every line earned over the past 6 years. You look like a princess. Mommy! Lila's voice cuts through my self-critical thoughts. She stands in the doorway, brown eyes full of admiration, holding Mr. Whiskers, the stuffed cat she's cherished since she was 3. Thank you, sweetheart. My hands tremble slightly as I clasp the delicate pearl necklace Lila chose from my jewelry box, the one my mother gave me for my 16th birthday, back when I was still the daughter they had expectations for. I force a smile at my reflection, though it doesn't reach my eyes. 6 years of night shifts as a nurse have taught me how to appear awake at 4 a.m. Surely, I can fake confidence for one dinner. Lila fidgets with her yellow sundress, the one we found at the church thrift store last month. Will Aunt Savannah be happy to see us this time? My heart tightens. Even at 6, she notices more than I'd like. Of course she will. The lie feels bitter on my tongue. The Italian restaurant rises before us like a fortress, its stone exterior softly lit by spotlights. Valet attendants hurry around shining luxury cars while gentle music drifts through the open doors. I grip the steering wheel tighter, my old sedan looking painfully out of place among the BMWs and Mercedes. A dent in the passenger door catches the light, a reminder of a runaway shopping cart last month. Is this where we're eating? Lila presses her face against the window, fogging the glass. It's so fancy. Yes, honey. I check my lipstick in the rearview mirror one last time. Remember what we talked about? Best manners tonight. Yes, ma'am. She nods seriously, her eyes bright with excitement. I'll be extra good. The hostess's eyes briefly scan us, noting my plain dress and Lila's worn shoes. Her smile stays polite, though her gaze subtly shifts when I give our name. Tora's anniversary party, I say, lifting my chin slightly. Of course, she checks her tablet. Right this way. We follow her through the restaurant, past tables of elegant diners sipping wine, past softly lit arrangements of flowers and quiet conversations. She leads us to the back, where a long table stretches beneath a chandelier. Savannah and Ethan sit at the center, like hosts of a royal gathering. My sister's blonde highlights shimmer under the light, her diamond earrings catching every graceful turn of her head. Ethan, in his tailored suit, looks calm and approachable, so unlike most others at the table. The hostess seats us at the far end, near the kitchen doors that swing open every few minutes, releasing bursts of sound and heat. Lila climbs into her chair, eyes wide at the neatly arranged forks and spoons before her. Mom spots us and walks over, her heels tapping sharply on the hardwood floor. She leans in, her expensive perfume surrounding me as she air kisses my cheek. You actually look presentable tonight, dear, she whispers, smoothing my collar like I'm still a child. Thanks. Mom! I keep my tone neutral as her words settle like stones in my stomach. Dad gives a distracted wave from his seat, his gaze avoiding mine as he continues his conversation with Ethan's father. Savannah glides over, champagne flute in hand, her red dress fitted perfectly. My big sister finally made it, she says, her voice just loud enough for the table to hear, carrying a trace of amusement. Lila looks up at the unfamiliar tone, her brow furrowing. Hi, Savannah. Happy anniversary. I lean in to kiss her cheek, ignoring the remark. You remember Lila? Of course I do. Savannah pats Lila's head lightly. You've grown so much. Ethan steps forward, his smile warm as he gives me a brief hug. Danica, it's great to see you. And Miss Lila, I heard you started kindergarten this year. Lila nods proudly. I can write my whole name now. While Savannah drifts back toward the center of attention, Ethan stays for a moment, asking Lila about school and complimenting her dress. His kindness tightens something in my throat. The evening continues with toasts and speeches. Glasses clink as someone raises a toast to the happy couple's 3rd anniversary. Ethan rises, his face glowing with pride as he announces his construction company's new $5 million contract. The room bursts into applause and congratulations. I join in quietly, genuinely happy for him. Just 2 years ago, he had called me in tears after losing his job, his voice trembling as he confessed he didn't know how to tell Savannah. I remember staying up after a long shift to help him refine his resume and connecting him with a construction site manager I knew through the hospital. Savannah stands for a toast, her champagne sparkling under the chandelier's glow. Her gaze sweeps across the table before settling on me. "To 3 wonderful years with the most amazing man," she says, lifting her glass. "And to many more successes ahead." Her smile sharpens as her eyes meet mine. "I just hope I never end up like some people, over 30, single, and barely getting by." Uneasy laughter ripples through the room. Dad chuckles and adds, "Men don't want women who already have kids, sweetheart." "You dodged that one," the words hit hard. Heat floods my face as I stare at my plate while the conversation moves on around me. Then a small voice beside me breaks through the noise. "Mom, why are they laughing at you?" Lila's innocent question hangs heavy in the air. My hands tremble beneath the table as I fight to stay composed. Mom's faint, complicit laugh deepens the sting. Before I can respond, a chair scrapes sharply against the floor. The room falls silent. Ethan stands, his expression serious. He walks around the table until he's beside me. "That wasn't a joke," he says, his tone steady and clear. "That was cruel." Savannah's mouth opens in shock. My parents shift uncomfortably, avoiding my eyes. Lila looks up at Ethan, sensing something significant. "2 years ago," Ethan continues, "when I was at my lowest, do you know who was there for me?" He scans the room, pausing on Savannah. "It wasn't my friends. It wasn't my family. It was Danica." I watch as realization spreads across the faces around us. A memory flashes, Ethan's late-night call, Savannah brushing off his struggles as just a setback, the long hours I spent helping him rebuild confidence while managing night shifts and raising Lila alone. As Ethan speaks, something changes inside me. For years, I'd accepted their story, that my life was a warning, that being a single mother made me less worthy. But now, hearing him, I begin to see myself differently. "The strongest, kindest person in this room," Ethan says, placing a steady hand on my shoulder, "is Danica." He stands firmly beside me. The entire room is still. Even the waiters pause at the edges, sensing the tension. 2 years ago, Ethan continues, voice tight but controlled. I lost my job at Brentwood Construction after the merger. For months, I couldn't find work. I fell into a depression so deep I barely recognized myself. I maxed out my credit cards just to keep up appearances. His eyes meet Savannah's. She fidgets, twisting her wine glass stem as her diamond ring catches the light. "Ethan, this isn't the time," she says. "When is the time, Savannah?" He replies, his words hanging between them. I lower my gaze, feeling the weight of every stare. The memory of his voice from that night resurfaces, him sitting in his car for hours, terrified to tell Savannah he'd been rejected again. While I was struggling, Ethan says, turning slightly toward me, Danica checked on me every week. She rewrote my resume at 3 a.m. after her 12-hour shift. She introduced me to Mark Kelly, the site manager who gave me my first contract. Dad clears his throat, uneasy with the disruption to his preferred narrative. But Ethan doesn't stop. It was Danica who told me to start my own company instead of chasing another corporate job. She managed all of it while working night shifts, raising Lila alone and stretching every dollar, clipping coupons just to afford groceries. With every new detail, Savannah seems to shrink a little more into her chair. Her confident posture from moments earlier collapses, her shoulders curling inward like a deflated souffle. She even watched James for me when I had my first client meeting, Ethan adds, mentioning their 5-year-old son. Remember, Savannah? You went on that spa weekend with your college friends? The silence thickens, until Aunt Cheryl's voice cuts through from a few seats away. He's right. Her weathered hand trembles slightly as she reaches for her glass. When I was doing chemo last year and couldn't drive to my treatments, Danica was the only one who took time off work to help me. Her words opened the floodgates. She helped my Robbie with his nursing school applications, Uncle Frank adds. Spent hours walking him through everything on the phone. The table hums with more memories, small acts of kindness I'd offered over the years. I never expected anyone to acknowledge them, least of all here. Lila looks up at me, her little face filled with both confusion and pride. Mom helps everybody, she says with simple sincerity. Something inside me loosens, a tightness I didn't realize I'd been holding for so long. Savannah's face burns red. She stands suddenly, her napkin dropping to the floor. I was just joking, she snaps, her voice rising and drawing glances from nearby tables. God, Danica's always been too sensitive. It's not my fault she makes poor life choices. Her words hang in the air, harsh and defensive, but they no longer sting the way they once would have. Do you have feelings for my sister? Savannah blurts at Ethan, her voice brittle with embarrassment. Gasps ripple around the table. Ethan looks at her, disappointment softening his expression. I have deep respect for her, he replies calmly. Something you should have too. My parents remain still, caught between their daughters, unwilling to take a side after years of showing their preference. Mom fidgets with her pearl bracelet. Dad studies his water glass as if it might offer answers. The pause stretches and memories surface. Savannah's extravagant graduation party with a live band and caterers. My modest nursing pinning dinner at Olive Garden, the $30,000 they gifted her for her wedding versus the simple congratulations card I received when Lila was born. Weekly family dinners filled with comparisons, her successes celebrated, mine brushed aside. For years, I've shown up to these gatherings hoping to earn a kind of approval they gave Savannah freely. I've accepted crumbs of attention while she feasted on praise. The realization feels like warm water washing over me. I've been chasing validation from people incapable of offering it. Not because I'm unworthy, but because they can't see beyond their narrow view of success. I rise slowly, controlled and calm. The chair slides softly against the carpet. Conversations falter. Thank you, Ethan, for your kindness, I say, my voice quiet but steady. I meet each set of eyes around the table, maybe for the first time without flinching. I've spent years trying to earn your respect. Tonight, I realize I don't need it anymore. Lila slips her small hand into mine, a gesture so pure it nearly undoes me. Ready to go home, sweetheart? I ask. She nods, then turns politely to the table. Thank you for inviting us. The bread was really good. A smile tugs at my lips despite everything. Even Aunt Cheryl chuckles softly. We walk toward the exit, my back straight, my steps light. The restaurant's warm light stretches our shadows ahead of us, a mother and child, moving forward. Behind us, I sense my parents trying to speak, mouths opening, then closing without sound. Ethan gives me a quiet nod as we pass. Outside, the night air feels different, cleaner somehow. I help Lila into her seat and fasten her belt. Are Aunt Savannah and Uncle Ethan still married? She asks, her innocent tone pulling a small laugh from me. Yes, honey, I say, brushing a strand of hair from her forehead. Grown-up relationships are complicated. As we drive away, a familiar weight begins to lift. One I carried so long I forgot it was there. My worth was never defined by their approval. Perhaps it never will be. For the first time, it feels like freedom instead of failure. The car is unusually quiet as we leave the restaurant. My knuckles whiten around the steering wheel. In the rearview mirror, Lila's pale face glows under the dashboard light, her tiny hands busy with Mr. Whisker's worn ear. Are Grandma and Grandpa mad at us? She asks softly in the dark. I swallow, searching for the right words. How do you explain family tension to a 6-year-old? No, sweetheart, they're not mad. Sometimes families just disagree about how people should treat one another. Like when Tommy pushed Lucy at recess, and Mrs. Martin said that wasn't nice? A small laugh escapes me. Something like that. Everyone deserves respect, even if they're different or make choices others don't understand. She nods thoughtfully. I think you deserve lots of respect, Mommy. Tears sting my eyes, but I blink them away. Thank you, baby. So do you. Back at our apartment, I draw a warm bath for Lila, pouring in the last of the bubble solution we've been saving. The pipes groan as the tub fills, a familiar sound in our modest home. While she splashes, I sit on the closed toilet lid, letting the steam clear away the restaurant's lingering scent. Can we read 2 stories tonight? She asks as I wrap her in a clean but worn towel. Just one tonight, honey. It's late. I help her into her star-patterned pajamas. After brushing teeth and saying prayers, I tuck her into bed. The lavender sachet I made last month still freshens the sheets, a small homemade comfort. Mommy? She whispers as I turn to leave. Are we going to be okay? I sit back down, the mattress dipping under me. Yes, Lila, we have each other. That's enough. When she's asleep, I move to the tiny kitchen table, spreading bills before me like tarot cards foretelling my future. Only then do I let the tears fall, quiet, steady, onto an overdue electric bill. I allow myself exactly 5 minutes to cry before wiping my face with a paper towel. Then I take a deep breath and pick up my pen. There's still just enough in my account to pay the bill. If I delay buying new shoes another month? I run the numbers carefully, grateful for my nursing school math. Morning brings a flurry of notifications. 3 missed calls from mom, a text from dad. Call your mother. At 7 a.m., a message from Savannah pops up. You're overreacting. Ethan was out of line. I delete it without replying and wake Lila for school. Later, as I rush to drop her off at Mrs. Winters's before work, Aunt Cheryl's text brings a small smile. You showed real grace, dear. Always knew you had your grandmother's strength. The last message is from Ethan. I meant every word. Thank you for everything. I slipped the phone into my pocket. Some messages don't need answers, only acknowledgement. At work, the night shift unfolds as usual. Medication rounds, vitals charting, but something inside me has changed. I stand taller, speak more firmly when calling the on-call doctor about a patient's oxygen levels. You seem different, Danica, my supervisor Martha says 3 weeks later over coffee. More confident. I shrug, but inside I know she's right. I'm applying for the night shift supervisor role, I tell her. Her brows lift, then she smiles. About time. I'll put in a good word. The deadline's Friday. My coworkers rally behind me. Ellen from pediatrics offers resume help, and James from the ER shares leadership books that helped him grow. Their encouragement feels new, genuine, unlike my family's criticism. Lila is thriving too. Her teacher sends a note praising her empathy. She proudly shows me a drawing labeled My Family, 2 stick figures, one tall, one small, both smiling and holding hands. That's us, she says. Just us. I tape it to the fridge beside our New Beginnings jar, where we drop spare coins whenever we can. The jar gleams in the sunlight like a quiet promise. We start new rituals, homemade pizza every Tuesday, chalk art on the sidewalk each Saturday morning, library book forts on rainy afternoons. 3 months after that dinner, Martha calls me into her office. Her face is unreadable as she gestures toward a chair. The hospital has reviewed all applications for the night shift supervisor position, she says, flipping through papers. My heart tightens. I've let myself hope. The pay raise could mean a better apartment, piano lessons for Lila, a real safety net. Then she looks up, smiling. They've chosen you, Danica. Congratulations. That evening, my coworkers surprise me with a small cake in the break room. To Nurse Torres, Ellen cheers, raising her cup of sparkling cider, our new night supervisor. At home, I open my laptop and revisit the apartment listings I've saved for months, but never had the courage to follow up on. With slightly shaking hands, I send an inquiry about a 2-bedroom place in Willow Creek Apartments. What are you looking at? Lila asks, peering over my shoulder. Maybe a new home for us, I reply, scrolling through photos of a cozy, sunlit apartment with a small green yard outside. Her eyes light up. Can I have yellow walls in my room like sunshine? I kiss the top of her head. Maybe we can, baby. Maybe we can. 2 weeks later, my phone lights up with my mother's name. I stare at it, thumb hovering. The last time we spoke was the night of that dinner. I answer on the 4th ring. Hello? Danica. My mother's voice sounds older somehow. Your father and I miss Lila. We were wondering if you both could come for Sunday lunch. The invitation lingers in the air, heavy with unspoken tension. I take a deep breath. We can visit for an hour, but I need to be sure Lila and I are treated with respect. The silence stretches long enough for me to think she's hung up. Finally, a sigh. Yes, of course. 1 o'clock? Later, I meet Sarah for coffee. Our daughters play nearby in the park as we sit on a bench, steam rising from our cups in the autumn chill. You did what many of us wish we could, Sarah says when I tell her about setting boundaries with my family. A fellow nurse and single mother, she understands the fragile balance we live with every day. I'm scared, I admit. Part of me still wants their approval. She squeezes my hand gently. That feeling never completely disappears. But by standing your ground, you're showing Lila something powerful. That same day, I help a new nurse named Rachel adjust her schedule so she can take her son to therapy. The relief in her eyes when I approve it without hesitation reminds me of my own journey. My last supervisor made me feel like my son was a burden, she says, her voice trembling. Your son is the reason you work so hard, I tell her. Never apologize for being a good mother. With my first supervisor paycheck, I enroll Lila in piano lessons at the community center. We find a used keyboard at a thrift store. Its scratched case hides a surprisingly lovely sound. It's not perfect, I warn as we set it up in the living room. She runs her fingers over the keys, releasing a delicate stream of notes. "It's beautiful," she says, and through her eyes, it truly is. 6 months after the dinner that changed everything, we finally move into our new apartment. Sunlight pours through windows larger than our old ones. The kitchen counters are unchipped. The bathroom faucet doesn't leak. Lila dashes from room to room, her laughter filling the space. When she reaches her bedroom, she stops, gasping. "You painted it yellow." "The landlord let me," I explain, smiling. "I did it yesterday while you were at Sarah's." That evening, after unpacking the essentials, I hang our family photos. There aren't many. Lila's school pictures, a candid shot at the park, and a Polaroid taken the day she was born. No extended family portraits, no holiday gatherings, just us. And somehow that feels right. As twilight bathes our new home in soft gold, Lila practices her piano. The simple tune fills the apartment, wrapping around us like quiet joy. I sit by the window, watching her small fingers glide across the keys, her face calm and focused. In that still moment, I see my reflection in her determined expression. We built this life together, one small victory at a time. The road was hard, but I wouldn't trade this piece for anything. Fluorescent hospital lights shine on the schedule board as I make final adjustments. My pen moves with confidence, arranging names and shifts into a pattern that once felt impossible. "You actually did it," Sarah whispers, half in awe. "The schedule everyone said couldn't be fixed." I step back, reviewing the board. Now, parents can be home for dinner 3 nights a week and have 1 weekend off each month, while every shift stays covered. No more mothers missing recitals. No more fathers working 6 nights in a row. Torres. Hospital Administrator Steven stands in the doorway, clipboard in hand. His usual look of mild disapproval is gone, replaced by something unreadable. A word? Sarah gives my arm a reassuring squeeze as I follow him to his office. The sound of my shoes echoing down the hall. He reviews my proposal carefully before looking up. "Your new system reduced turnover by 15% during the trial," he says. The board wants to implement it hospital-wide. Pride rises in my chest, warm and unfamiliar. "Thank you, sir." Credit where it's due. He hands me the signed paperwork. "Janet mentioned you might think about pursuing your MSN. The hospital offers scholarship programs." Walking back to the nurse's station, I feel a lightness in my step that I haven't felt in years. The afternoon brings unexpected visitors. Ethan's familiar figure appears at the entrance. Blueprints tucked under his arm. Beside him stands a tall man with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes framed by laugh lines. "Surprise inspection," Ethan jokes as he approaches the desk. "Actually, we're meeting with Stevens about the new pediatric wing." He gestures toward his companion. "Danica, this is David Whitman." He owns Whitman Paint and Supply. David. Meet Danica Torres, nursing supervisor, and the reason I still have a business. David extends his hand. His palm is warm, the handshake firm yet friendly. "Ethan speaks highly of you," he says. "Claims you're the most capable person he knows." A flush creeps up my cheeks. He exaggerates. I doubt that. David's smile deepens, softening his features. "My company is handling the specialty coatings for the children's wing, antimicrobial paints, and low VOC finishes." David's a widower, Ethan adds bluntly. His son James is 14. I shoot Ethan a look, but he just grins. "How old is your daughter?" David asks, unaware of Ethan's matchmaking. "Lila's 6. She just started piano lessons. James plays too." David replies with a chuckle. Though he prefers his electric guitar, our neighbors aren't thrilled. The conversation flows easily. David asks thoughtful questions about creating child-friendly hospital spaces. I share insights about how color psychology affects healing. When Stephen calls them in for their meeting, David lingers. "Would you be open to coffee sometime? To talk about the project, of course." There's a hint of uncertainty in his voice that makes him seem genuine. Before I can answer, Ethan cuts in. "She's free Thursday afternoon." "Lila has piano then, right?" I nod, torn between annoyance and amusement. "Thursday works." As they walk away, Ethan flashes me a thumbs up. I shake my head but can't help smiling. The next morning, while pushing a cart through Westfield Market, I spot a familiar blonde head in the produce aisle. Savannah stands alone, overanalyzing avocados. I consider walking the other way, but Lila has already seen her. "Aunt Savannah!" she calls, waving excitedly. Savannah looks up, her perfect composure faltering in surprise. She hesitates, then approaches with a small gift bag I hadn't noticed before. "Lila, Danica." Her tone is gentler than usual. "I saw this and thought of you." She hands Lila the bag. Inside is a music book with simplified Disney songs. Lila hugs it tightly. "Thank you. I'm learning piano now." An awkward pause stretches between us until Savannah clears her throat. "Ethan said you moved to Willow Creek Apartments. How is it?" Her question sounds sincere this time. "It's nice," I reply. "Lila has her own room." "There's a park nearby." Savannah nods, twisting her wedding ring. "That's good. Really good." We exchange a few more polite words before parting. As we walk away, Lila glances up. "Aunt Savannah seemed different." "Yes," I say softly. She did. Thursday arrives and with it, unexpected nerves. I haven't been on a date since before Lila was born. At the nurse's station, my coworkers quickly notice. "Girl, he called the hospital asking for you," Marissa teases as I check my lipstick again. That's straight out of a romance novel. I roll my eyes but can't hide a smile. "It's just coffee to discuss the pediatric wing." "Sure," she says, winking. "That's why you're wearing your good jeans and mascara." The cafe David suggested sits halfway between the hospital and Lila's piano class. When I arrive, he's already there, a newspaper folded beside his cup. He stands as I approach, smiling warmly. "I wasn't sure how you take your coffee," he says. So I waited. "Black, 1 sugar," I reply, touched by the gesture. Our conversation flows naturally, from the hospital project to our kids, to life as single parents. David shares that his wife passed from cancer 4 years ago. The sadness lingers in his eyes, though it no longer defines him. The hardest part, he admits, was learning to be both parents. James needed his mother's softness, but I only knew how to be his father. I nod. For me, it was the practical things. Fixing, teaching Lila what her dad would have. "Does he see her?" David asks carefully. "He left when I was 5 months pregnant. He's in Seattle now with a new family." I'm surprised by how little the words sting now. David doesn't offer pity or outrage, just quiet understanding. Then, he asks about Lila's piano lessons. His genuine interest in my daughter means more than any compliment he could give me. When we say goodbye, he walks me to my car. "I'd like to see you again, Danica. Maybe dinner next time?" For once, I don't overthink my answer. I'd like that too. Sunday arrives with its familiar unease as Lila and I pull up to my parents' house for lunch. The modest brick home looks exactly the same as it has for 20 years, with Mom's roses blooming neatly along the walkway. Dad opens the door before we can knock. His eyes soften at the sight of Lila, though his greeting to me remains restrained. "How's the new position treating you?" The question feels like a hesitant peace offering. It's challenging. "But good," I reply. Mom appears from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "I always knew you'd make supervisor someday," she says, as if she hadn't questioned every career move I've ever made. I don't argue. Instead, I help set the table while Lila shows them her progress in the music book Savannah gave her. Their stiff praise begins to ease as she plays Twinkle Twinkle with careful focus. Lunch passes without sharp remarks or comparisons to Savannah. The talk stays on neutral ground. Dad's garden, Mom's church group, Lila's schoolwork. It isn't warmth exactly, but it isn't coldness either. Something in between, like early spring. 9 months after the disastrous anniversary dinner, my apartment now hums with laughter and conversation. Sarah chases her daughter Zoe through the living room while Aunt Cheryl arranges cheese and crackers on the coffee table. 3 of my nursing colleagues gather at the kitchen island, discussing the hospital's new electronic record system. The doorbell rings and Lila dashes to open it. "They're here!" she shouts. David and James enter, carrying a potted plant and a tray of homemade cookies. Behind them stands our elderly neighbor, Mrs. Fitzgerald, whom David insisted we invite after hearing she had no nearby family. "Sorry we're late," David says, kissing my cheek. James wanted to bake the cookies from scratch. The teenager rolls his eyes but can't hide his pride. He heads straight to Lila, who adores him with the fierce admiration only a 6-year-old can have for a cool teenage boy. "Ladies and gentlemen," Lila announces with exaggerated formality, "I will now perform my recital pieces." Everyone gathers around our second-hand upright piano as Lila plays 3 simple songs, her small fingers steady on the keys. When she finishes Fur-Elise, simplified for beginners, the applause is genuine and full of warmth. David slips an arm around my waist as we watch James show Lila a new chord. "She's amazing," he murmurs, "just like her mom." I glance around the room at these people who have become my chosen family. Sarah, who understands single motherhood's weight. Aunt Cheryl, who always believed in me. My colleagues, who respect my judgment. And David, who truly sees me. The contrast to last year's anniversary dinner couldn't be clearer. Then I felt dismissed. Now I feel valued. Lila laughs as James teaches her a silly song about a walrus. David's hand finds mine. Warm, steady, sure. Surrounded by genuine affection, I realize I've built something rare. A circle of love grounded in respect, not obligation. A family by choice. The invitation arrives on cream-colored paper edged in gold foil. I turn it over in my hands, my stomach tightening at the embossed words, celebrating 4 years of marriage. Savannah and Ethan Pitt. Same restaurant. Same family. 1 year later, Lila spots the card as she spreads out her homework on the kitchen table. "What's that, Mommy?" An invitation to Aunt Savannah and Uncle Ethan's anniversary dinner. The memory of last year's humiliation flashes through my mind. Lila's innocent questions, the forced laughter, my trembling hands beneath the tablecloth. "Are we going?" she asks, pencil hovering over her math sheet. "I'm not sure yet." Later that night, after tucking Lila in, I call Ethan. His tone is cautious. "I wanted to talk about the invitation," I begin. Curling up on the sofa. "Things are different now," he says. "Savannah's been seeing a therapist. After you left last year, it really changed things." I twist the phone cord around my finger, remembering how Ethan defended me that night when no one else did. "I appreciate that," I say softly. "But I need to protect Lila." "I understand." The next evening, David and I walk through the park near my apartment as Lila runs ahead to the swings. "What are you afraid will happen if you go?" he asks. That nothing's changed, I admit. That they'll just find subtler ways to make me feel small. David takes my hand, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. "You've grown stronger," he says. "You can face this on your own terms." His quiet confidence becomes exactly the reassurance I need. That evening, I call my sister directly. "Before I agree to anything, I need to understand what I'm walking into," I tell Savannah, my voice firmer than it has ever been with her. The silence stretches long enough for me to wonder if she's hung up. Then she says quietly, "I'd like us to try again." Another pause follows. "I've been working on myself." The vulnerability in her voice catches me off guard. It doesn't sound like the confident sister who's always moved through life as if nothing could touch her. "Okay," I say finally. "We'll come." Saturday afternoon finds Lila and me at the department store, something we rarely do. Last year's borrowed clothes and thrift store finds have been replaced by a sense of freedom that comes with my new supervisor's salary. Lila twirls in a purple dress with small embroidered flowers along the hem. "This one, please, Mom." I check the price tag and nod. It's perfect. For myself, I choose a simple emerald dress that fits neatly at the shoulders and gathers at the waist. The color brings out faint green flecks in my eyes I've never noticed before. At home, while curling Lila's hair, I try to explain what forgiveness means. Sometimes, people hurt us without intending to, I tell her, parting another strand. Like when Emma said my lunch smelled funny. Something like that. And sometimes, if they truly regret it, we can give them another chance, but not always. She asks, looking up with those wise eyes. "No, sweetie. Not always." I set the curling iron down. "We're going to see if Aunt Savannah and Grandma and Grandpa are ready for their second chance." David picks us up at 6:30, whistling softly when he sees us. "You two look beautiful." He kisses my cheek and helps Lila into the car, her purple dress carefully arranged to stay smooth. In the passenger seat, I smooth my own dress, grateful for his calm presence. "I'll pick you up at 9, he says as we pull up. "Just text if you need me earlier." The restaurant looks exactly the same, stone facade, valet attendants, luxury cars. But this time, I walk through the doors with my head high, Lila's hand warm in mine. The hostess smiles, no hint of last year's judgment. "The Torres party is expecting you." We've barely stepped inside when Savannah approaches, hands clasped in front of her. She's wearing a simple black dress, her hair in a low twist. The usual sparkle of diamonds is missing. "You came," she says softly. "Thank you." Her eyes flick toward Lila and then back to me. There's a slight tremble in her fingers, a hint of uncertainty in her stance. This isn't the Savannah I've always known. Your dress is so pretty, she tells Lila, bending slightly. There's a kids' table with your cousins if you'd like to join them. Lila looks at me for approval. I nod and she heads toward a smaller table covered with coloring books and crayons. The main table is arranged differently this year. My place is near the center, not by the kitchen doors. My mother stands, her hug stiff but sincere. You look lovely, Danica, she says, and for once there's no hidden critique. My father clears his throat. Good to see you both made it. Ethan pulls out my chair with a knowing smile. Glad you're here. Throughout dinner, I sense the shift. The conversation includes me instead of circling around me. When I mention my promotion, my parents ask follow-up questions. The sharp tension of last year has been replaced by something delicate but real. After the main course, Savannah stands to give her toast, champagne flute in hand. I instinctively brace myself. This year has shown me what truly matters, she says, her gaze moving around the table before resting on me. Some people show strength in ways we don't always recognize. It isn't a direct apology, but her eyes say what her words don't. When Ethan gives his toast, he speaks about his company's growth and adds, none of this would have been possible without my support system. His glance toward me doesn't go unnoticed. Later, as I pick desserts from the buffet, my mother joins me. We stand in silence until she finally says, "We didn't see you clearly." I'm sorry for that. The words I've waited years to hear come quietly. Between the chocolate fountain and the petite fours. I needed your support. Not your judgment, I say softly. My father steps beside us, hands in his pockets. Your mother's right. We favored Savannah, always have. He offers no excuses, just acknowledgement. I look at their aging faces, seeing for the first time the insecurities behind their criticism. We'll see where we go from here, I say. As the evening winds down, Savannah touches my elbow. Can we talk outside? The night air is cool against my skin as we step onto the stone patio. Savannah wraps her arms around herself, suddenly looking small, almost fragile. I was jealous of your strength, she admits, tears forming in her eyes. It was easier to mock than to admire. Jealous? Of me? I can hardly believe it. You've always known who you are. You make hard choices and stand by them. She wipes her cheek. Ethan and I have been trying for a baby for 3 years. Nothing's worked. The treatments are exhausting, and our marriage nearly broke last summer. Her confession spills out like water from a cracked glass. The perfect pictures. The flawless family image all hiding a reality as messy as mine. I listen quietly. This pain doesn't erase what came before. Something changes in me as I watch my sister truly notice her. Maybe for the first time. Maybe we can start again, I finally say. Not like before, something new. I'd like that. She hesitates, then opens her arms for a hug. I step forward, accepting it, but not fully sinking in. Before we leave, the family gathers for a photo. I stand beside my sister, no longer pushed to the edges. Lila smiles between her grandparents, more at ease than I've seen her before. When David arrives to pick us up, I introduce him to everyone. Savannah asks about his paint supply business with what sounds like genuine curiosity. Ethan watches with a quiet smile, as if satisfied with the change he sees. In the car, Lila falls asleep almost instantly, her head against the window, her purple dress wrinkled from playing with her cousins. How was it? David asks softly. I glance back at the restaurant, the family still visible through the windows. Forgiveness doesn't erase the past, I say, thinking of my sister's tears and my parents' hesitant apologies. It makes room for a different future. As we drive away, something in my chest loosens. Not full release, but the first breath of renewal. 2 years later, I stand at the edge of my garden as the evening sun warms my shoulders. When I brush my fingers across the basil and rosemary, their scent rises around me. My garden. My home. Words I never imagined would belong to me. Through the open windows, Lila's piano music drifts out, a simple version of Ode to Joy that James taught her last weekend. Her playing has improved so much since we moved here. At 8, she plays with confidence that fills me with pride. Inside, framed photographs capture our story better than any words could. Lila feeding ducks with my parents at the park, Savannah and me laughing over coffee, David and me at the hospital fundraiser, his hand resting at my waist. The whole family gathered in this backyard 3 months ago, smoke rising from the grill as Dad showed James how to tell if the burgers were done. Almost finished, Lila calls when she sees me watching from the window. Her fingers slip on a hard note, but she recovers quickly. James has been a patient teacher, his teenage awkwardness fading whenever he plays beside her. My phone buzzes with a text from Sarah. How did the presentation go? Earlier today, I spoke at a community center for single mothers. My message was simple but hard-earned. Your worth isn't defined by those who fail to see it. 20 women listened as I shared my story, from that painful anniversary dinner to today. I spoke of setting boundaries without resentment, of forgiveness that doesn't allow further hurt. Build your circle with people who value you, I told them, watching understanding light up tired faces. The hospital administration had been surprisingly supportive when I asked for time off to speak. 2 years ago, they might have questioned a night nurse wanting to teach. Now, as I work toward my advanced nursing degree, they see potential instead of inconvenience. A car pulls into the driveway, David's silver sedan, still bearing the small dent from when James hit a mailbox during a driving lesson. He steps out balancing takeout containers and his briefcase. Our eyes meet across the yard, and his smile deepens the lines around his eyes. Thai food, as requested, he says, holding up the bags. And I found that gardening book you wanted. I meet him halfway, accepting the food and his quick kiss. Perfect timing, Lila's almost done practicing. In the kitchen, David sets the table while I pour water into glasses with lemon slices. The ease of it still surprises me. This quiet rhythm built over Sunday dinners and Tuesday movie nights. So, he says casually, leaning against the counter, have you thought about my proposal? Last weekend, on this same porch, David had knelt and asked me to marry him. I'd asked for time, not out of doubt, but to truly take in the moment. I have, I say, smiling. And yes, on one condition, Lila helps plan the wedding. His laughter fills the kitchen. Wouldn't have it any other way. My phone buzzes again, Savannah checking if we're still on for Saturday's appointment at the adoption agency. After years of fertility treatments, she and Ethan chose a different path to build their family. When she asked me to come for support, I saw it for what it was, like a bridge across years of rivalry. Sunday dinners at my parents' house have become peaceful instead of tense. Mom listens when I share stories from my nursing mentorship program. Dad recorded every minute of Lila's spring recital on his new phone. As dusk settles, I watch fireflies flicker between the rose bushes. Inside, Lila's music fills the house while David sets out dinner. Soon, James will be home completing our small circle. Sometimes, the greatest gift is realizing your own worth, even when others miss it. The path from that restaurant to this garden wasn't straight, but every difficult step brought me here, to this peace, this life, built on my own terms. Your worth isn't defined by those who can't see it. It's revealed in how you rise each time they try to diminish you.